We got a race on level ground. Andra runs with an average velocity of 6.02 meters per second to the east. What distance does she cover in 130 seconds? 137 seconds, sorry. So we always start with all of these problems. And you are going to think that I am so ridiculous. I am! You are always going to start by writing down your variables. It's really easy right now. You only have 3. You are told that her average velocity is equal to 6.02 meters per second. You're told that her delta t equals 137 seconds. And you are asked what her delta x is. Now, right now you only have one formula on your happy little note card. Pretty soon, you're going to have 6. And when you write down your formulas, what that immediately does is it connects when you write down your variables, it immediately connects what you have and what you need to which formula you need to use. Now, obviously, like I said, you only got one, people. What you got is VA equals delta x over delta t. We are solving, of course, for delta x. Well, that's rather simple. On tests and quizzes and everything else, you know how mean I am? Super mean. I'm going to make you write down that formula. I'm going to give you a point for doing it. I'm going to give you a point for listing your variables. I'm going to give you a point for writing down the initial formula off your card. Not the rearrangement, not plugging in numbers, writing down the formula with variables only. Why? Because they're going to get way more complicated as we go. Okay? So I'm going to write that down. I am then going to give you a point for showing the rearrangement. VA delta t equals delta x. Don't you dare just stick numbers in and then rearrange it. Don't do it. I will beat you with a physics stick. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'll find one and I'll beat you with it. Rearrange the darn formula before you put a darn number in there. How many of you just had to erase? Don't? I see what you people do. Now that I have an equation that is correctly rearranged to solve for the variable, which I would like to find, now I can plug in numbers. Why am I doing this? Why am I such a pain in your tuchus? Well, because it's fun and entertaining. But besides that, because as we go, it's going to get more complicated, and you're going to have to do substitutions and rearrangement, and you're going to need that. Meters per second times 100 and, whoops. Well, geez, Moser, it'd be helpful if you could write numbers. 137 seconds equals delta x. Let's do a little bit of dimensional analysis, shall we? Meters per second times seconds. 6.02 times 137. My units would be meters seconds over seconds. That gets me in meters. Is that the units that I want for delta x? Of course it is. Good. Whoops, I just did that. So let's get a raw. So we have our raw number. Oh, here's another thing. Always write down your raw number. Why? Because when I go back to look at your answers, especially on a test, if you have a rounding error that has significantly changed your number, but I can see your raw number, you only lose the 1 point for rounding and sig figs. If I can't see your raw number anywhere and you rounded incorrectly, you lose more points than that. So make sure you write down your raw number. Now, how many sig figs are we allowed here? 3. So that's going to put us here, and we round up because it's a 0.7, so 825 meters equals delta x. Circle, and we're done. That's easy. All of these are assigned. That's page 44. And I will have the worksheet for you for 2A tomorrow. Typically the worksheet steps up the difficulty a little bit, so the book problems are pretty easy. The worksheet is a little bit harder. Tomorrow in class we will work on these problems while I float around. What I do want you to do is make sure you have tried at least a couple of these tonight, so that you know when you walk in tomorrow if this is pretty smooth or if you're having big problems. This is the easy stuff, so we will probably have a FIP on this. So again, the recall quiz will be posted when you walk in tomorrow morning. Work on the 2A, book problems, and then I'll have the worksheet for you when you walk in tomorrow. I want to make sure you get. I didn't hand you the worksheet at the same time because I want you to do the easy problems first. Because people will skip over the book problems. Well, I just want to start on the worksheet. No. There's a reason we're doing it this way. Do the more straightforward ones and then step up the difficulty. So that way you reinforce the ideas. Okay, no questions?